Cooper, what chain are you on?
I'm on Unichain, bruv.
I thought we were still on DGen chain.
Yeah, I thought we're still on
You guys
DGen.
need to drop this.
I'm on
like,
Unichain.
What are you buying? What are
Unicorn.
you buying on Unichain?
I'm buying Charlie the Unicorn, man. I don't know if you knew, but Pure Markets is live. My guy Austin, Doppler, the liquidity genius, he's cooking right now, and I'm giving him some ETH. I'm giving my ETH to the market, and there's a 90% chance this is going to go to zero, and there's a 10% chance it doesn't, and that's just the game that we signed up for.
We live for that 10%, baby.
I mean,
Live
10%
for
is
that
high.
10%.
10% is generous.
Do you think there's a 10% chance I get my laptop back today?
I think there's a 2% chance you get your laptop back today.
It's feeling like it seems like I could get it back. It would just not be working. So 100% chance I could get it back. 0% chance it would be working.
But you do have a mic.
I was about to say that. Can we acknowledge that we all have mics this episode?
It's pretty impressive.
Mike.
Knack.
Mic.
We're back.
I almost wasn't sure if the mic would work with this computer, and lo and behold.
It looks like you're
Chevy,
in
back in California, baby.
back in Cali, in the Valley. Good old LA. Back
LA.
in the Valley, yes.
I have a question. How's the fire there? Is that old news now?
That's old news, man. Come on.
It's old news. Unless you were
news.
directly affected by it. So if you were directly affected by it,
Still living in that. Okay.
that's tough. But if you weren't directly affected by it, it's things are pretty back to normal.
Yeah, I would say on my end, Chevy came over to watch the Super Bowl, and David declined my invite. So we really got to see who the real friends were.
I don't like
Over the
hanging
course of
out
this
with
weekend?
Cooper and Chevy. That's the thing. But go Birds.
He had another wedding. Another
Yeah.
wedding. Oh, another
Another
wedding.
wedding.
Got a wedding. Celebrating.
And I will say that I was not expecting Chevy to be as fired up about the halftime performance as he was, but that was the highlight of my day.
Yeah, I saw
Chevy was
Kendrick.
very,
I saw,
very
hold on,
excited about
timeout.
Kendrick.
Timeout. I'm a big Kendrick fan. I saw Kendrick at Coachella when he performed. When the damn album came out that weekend on the way to Coachella, it was a surreal experience. I'll never forget it. Big Kendrick fan. I also saw him at the gym one time in the Oaks, Calabasas. I was working out over there, and he walked in, and I was on the bike on the other side of the gym. And I looked to my right, and Kendrick just walked in. I was like, holy shit, that's Kendrick Lamar. And then he just walked out. He's like, fuck, and walked out. So that's my
Epic.
only interaction. I blew it, guys. I blew it. He could have been in Blueprint, and I blew it.
Yeah,
Look at that.
he really
Get
could
up.
have.
Look at
He
that.
needs mints.
He needs mints. I'm glad that was your highlight, Coop. I'm glad I can bring that energy into your life. And you
Thank
feel
you.
See, Adam, I
Okay.
thought you were more of an Adele fan.
big Adele fan. Very big Adele fan.
You flew to Germany, right, to see
I
a
did.
concert? Wow.
Just for that. Just for that.
It's a dedicated fan right there.
Dedicated, man.
Dedicated.
Dedicated.
And that makes one person who's dedicated to our friendship on this podcast.
You know who else is dedicated? Dave Portnoy.
Yep.
He's dedicated to shitcoining.
And to Taylor
Dedicated to
Swift.
shitcoining. That guy.
Dave Portnoy.
Between him, Trump, and Elon, I saw a lot of D Portnoy on my feed last week.
Between him, Trump, Elon, and Kanye, the timeline
Oh
is
my
too
gosh.
chaotic.
Oh my god.
It's like I can only do 2 at a time. 4 at a time it's too much. It's too much chaos. 2 at a time. They gotta start talking to each other and be like, I've got this week, you get next week. Like all of it at the same time is too much.
I think the funniest thing with that comment, David, is that I texted you about the Kanye stuff. And you're like, I gotta turn off notifications for Kanye. As if this guy had post notifications, assuming this dude would drop a coin to change his life.
Hey, if you didn't have post notifications on to try and snipe a Kanye coin, then I don't know what you're doing.
So real. So real.
Why
but
not live
also-
for that? Why not live for that 10% chance?
Here he is. There he is, Lucas. Thanks for bringing it up, Soup. What's going on here?
I'm debating on whether or not we want to play this clip. It's 2 minutes long.
No.
We have a minute 47 one over here.
I think we can
Effectively, Dave
summarize.
Portnoy, I thought had an incredibly base take, and it was pretty much shut the fuck up, everyone. Stop your bitching. I'm playing the same game as you guys. I'm just trying to make money. So I'm not pumping and dumping. I'm just trying to make money. Effectively, was his take. Now, I think the nuance around that is like you have a social media account with a large audience, and if you tweet out a ticker, like volatility is going to happen. But I do really respect Dave's take here of just like, look, I'm just a guy trying to trade shit coins like everyone else, and fuck off. You know,
Just the guy.
Prime use case of using your influence, letting people know they're about to get shit on. But then he had somebody create a coin on his behalf, and then they airdrop majority of the supply to him. Isn't that what happened? And that's when
No.
everything really
He
took
didn't
off.
have
Or
someone
what?
create. Whoa.
Well,
Sorry. He didn't have
somebody
people create a coin. It just manifested.
Manifested. There it is.
Mhm.
There it is.
Can I share my screen real quick, Lucas?
Please.
Look at this, guys. Look at this. One of us. One of us.
Oof.
One of us. Dave Portnoy, number 12 on KOL Scan. Your DGen's favorite leaderboard to track.
Pretty good.
Now, many in the crypto Twitter ecosystem would say that this is a very controversial P&L here because he's using his influence to buy and sell tokens. But as we look in the mirror, one must ask themselves, is he any different than us?
Wow.
And does he have a point?
Wow.
That crypto people are delirious. Find out next week on Not a Cartel.
I think he does have a point that crypto people are delirious, even though I don't appreciate his antics.
Yeah, I was watching Jail Stool during the show on Saturday night, just absolutely ripping, and it was very interesting. It just really clicked to me like what crypto people want when it comes to creator tokens is not only that the creator endorses a coin, but that they literally do not stop shilling it 24/7. Because when they go to bed, it goes down. If they wake up and they don't chill it hard enough, it goes down. And to me, it just kind of created this. In my mind, I'm just like, you can't really win as a creator launching a token. The thing is, he hasn't even launched a token in the first place. He was kind of just test running it. And I thought that, to Lucas's points, all of his videos and clips and sentiment around being like, you guys are idiots. You asked me to shill this thing for free. I shilled it for free, and then you dumped it. And you should have just waited a week so I could actually do like real marketing on this thing. I thought that it was all extremely accurate. And I think that it's a really good indicator that we are still so far away from creator tokens having like a real moment. And I think that there's still like a ton of work that needs to be done for this model to even be sustainable remotely for creators in the first place.
Someone had a good tweet that said, like, Portnoy said everything every crypto founder wants to say but can't say.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I do like that.
Wait, now I'm curious. What did he say?
He said something along the lines of what Cooper was just saying, like, I bought this coin, I was gonna spend actual time to like build this thing up, and you guys all like dumped it the moment it got an exchange listing. Like, give me time to like actually build this thing. Like, why are you just dumping this thing the moment we get any momentum?
Yeah, and he was like, you idiots don't understand that like regular people don't know what Phantom is. He's like, that's why we need Kraken. That's how you get like real people to buy this thing. And all of you guys just sold it the second it listed on Kraken. Like, what are you doing?
Damn.
It was so good.
I think my biggest takeaway between the Portnoy token and the Trump token is what they did afterwards. Like, Trump released his watch series that made it possible to buy the watch with the Trump coin, which I thought was really cool. And then Portnoy released a t-shirt and some merch and said that even though all the payments were done in fiat, all the profits are going to go back to buying back Jail Stool. Those are the two interesting trends that I really loved seeing that really inspired some of my thinking the last couple weeks.
Are we back to the fanny pack era? Is that what's going on?
Is that what that is? What is the fanny pack era?
Hold a 10 ETH NFT and get your free fanny pack.
Those moonbirds.
Yeah, you guys don't remember the fanny pack era?
That was Moonbirds. Hey, I still have a
Real
Bored Ape
utility.
basketball.
A Bored Ape basketball.
Yep.
Wow. It's pretty
Yep.
rare.
Pretty rare.
Nice.
Good item.
Looks rare. Lucas, what did you want to say?
I just think it's positive or bullish for us to see a creator like Dave getting on chain. And I think like for us selfishly, the fact that someone like Dave was able to get a Phantom wallet, buy a shitcoin, I think is a really positive step forward for us. Given that, Barstool Sports has like one of the largest podcast networks, right? And bringing them on chain would be super helpful or like super valuable, obviously. And to know that that process is at least somewhat feasible for the CEO of that company, I think was like bullish or positive for me.
I agree with that sentiment, but I would push back a little bit that the intention of him coming on chain was very different from like tokenizing his podcast or his media.
No, it's
and
not.
it was much
It's
more
to make
around,
money.
like speculating on meme coins.
Mm,
I think that
make
you
money.
selling him on like putting his podcast on chain is a very different conversation, in my
I
opinion.
think it's the same first principle of let's make you some money.
What do we think, chat?
Let's make money.
Because I guess I'll say it this way, like the way that I think about it is like when we work with artists, there's a bunch of artists who are down to put their music on chain, but they're not really as down to like trade shit coins. And this is interesting that it's starting from the inverse, right? Of like him just wanting to go and gamble and buy a bunch of like pump fund tokens, but selling him on like the idea of his organization putting content on chain. It's just interesting to me that even though they are in the same ballpark, it is a very different pitch. Like, hey, go and buy some shit coins versus like, hey, go and actually tokenize your media business and earn like an extra revenue stream.
Yeah, my take there is that it's actually, to me, it's more positive that he went further down the risk curve, and I think it would be easier to bring him back into something as simple as mint your content on chain, right? Versus, you know, that step from mint your content on chain to launch a meme coin, even for the crypto native creators, that's a huge step. So I think the inverse of that is a lot more feasible of a pathway to getting Dave on chain more actively, I guess.
So you're committing to Barstool being on pods by the end of the week? Is that what's happening here?
I'll give it a rip. I can't commit, but I'll send him an email.
Speak to him. Find his number.
Just go talk to him.
Just go talk to him.
I got you. But Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports was started in the town that I grew up in. So I've known Barstool since.
So if you're listening to this, Dave, give him a shout.
Come on,
go call
Dave.
Lucas.
I actually applied to Barstool Sports back in 2019 to start a finance and crypto like podcast or outlet within Barstool Sports. That was like shitcoin trading.
You would have been great at that.
I know. I would have been. And
I'm still, this is just giving me a recall to your story of seeing Alex Cooper. And, you know, that could have been the moment. We could have had Call Her Daddy on chain. The next time anybody sees Call Her Daddy, he's Alex Cooper, go up to her. Tell her, like, she could be on pods.
What about
Call
Kendrick?
Her Daddy could be on pods. Call
Give
Lucas.
her my number.
What do we do next time we see Kendrick at the gym?
Don't say, holy shit, that's Kendrick Lamar. Do not say that. Just let him be. Let him work out. Don't let him
work out.
Sounds like what you did.
Yeah. Coop, I feel like you have the most experience with influential people. How would you,
considering you are one? Go ahead.
Considering you are a person of influence.
I am not a person of influence anymore. I'm washed as washed can be, boys. I mean, it depends on the situation. Time and place, and they're just humans at the end of the day, you know? I am a fan of get the fanboy moment out first and then go into the human side of things. A lot of people are like, oh, no, I don't want to be a fan and come up and say that I really like this person. I just get it out of the gate immediately. I go up, right to their face. I love what you do. X, Y, and Z, whether it's a song, an album, a show, whatever it is, acknowledge the clout, acknowledge that you're aware of where the clout comes from. So I think this is the thing that I see from a lot of high up people is they just think that they know them, but they don't know anything about their work. So like, oh yeah, name 5 of my songs, or like, what was your favorite film that I was in or episode? So I think there needs to be some acknowledgement of their work to really get the credibility there.
Specific acknowledgement, sounds like.
And then you just humanize the conversation. You try and get to the mutuals as quick as possible. Like, hey, we both know this person. So there's a little bit of recognition that you're not just some moon boy out here trying to you know, change your life over a conversation. And then, you know, one thing leads to another and it's feeling natural. Then maybe you can bring up this, you know, little thing called crypto. But, you know, you got to be delicate. You can't just come out of the gate bringing up crypto, because then you're just immediately boxed in to the crypto people crowd, which from the outside world, everyone is like, these people are insane. I don't want anything to do with them. So the crypto part, you got to save it until there's a little bit of trust and mutual respect. And then you can, I've been doing this thing for a while, you know.
At this point in the cycle, though, right? But like, I think if you're in peak 21, I think you wanted to lean into the crypto piece a little bit more, or no?
Let me tell you what, Lucas, we are not in peak 2021 anymore.
I am fully aware of that, Coop.
Unless we're Japanese soldiers.
Lucas is in peak 21 forever.
I am just perpetually in 2021.
NFTs. You want some NFTs?
Bored Ape, Loot. Oh man, those were the days.
I could sell you some PFPs for you, Dave. 10,000 Daves on Degen chain. 10,000 Daves on Ethereum mainnet.
All have their own unique jail cell. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Now we're cooking.
Pretty good.
Honestly, let's bring back the 10K PFPs.
No,
that was peak.
I think let's bring them back.
I actually am like, yeah. Go ahead, Devin.
They're having a soft. They're still out there. AI16Z, the partners NFT, got you some allocation this this last weekend. It was a whopping $4 in allocation into Partners DAO, but I bought the PFP like 4 months ago just because I thought it was cool. It was like $400 when I bought it. I was like, I need a new PFP. This one's kind of cool. So I think kind of like in how we're all talking about, you know, I'm selling music for $1. Cooper's selling music for $1. Like I think PFPs are still out there. They're just not the money makers they used to be.
Well, MegaETH's about to launch their PFP collection.
That's true. Yes. Good segue.
I think that should be pretty poppin'.
Yeah. What's the
Why?
download on the MegaETH mint?
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it to give a highly informed take, but to my understanding, there's a raffle based on on-chain activity. And so for me, my wallet got allow listed because I've been trading on it since like 2017. I have some POAPs. I have, you know, a bunch of PFPs in there, some ladies, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was eligible for this allow list based on the fact that I have been active on chain. And to my understanding, it's a raffle. So there's no guarantee that I will actually get allocation in it. But if the RNG gods are on my side, I'm going to be able to mint one of these bunnies. And if I mint one of these bunnies, you bet your ass I'm going to be up on paper. 1 ETH. So basically what we're saying here is if this thing costs 1 ETH, it's going to go up to 3 ETH at least.
I saw a take that part of the reason that they did this structure was it allows them to get around KYC for the token.
Smart.
Because people are able to purchase the NFT and then they're able to do an airdrop or some type of claim directly for people who own the NFT versus if it was a straight token airdrop and having to do KYC.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good it's a good through the lines read there,
Interesting.
David.
Yep. Yeah, and they
What are
keep
the-
promoting that everywhere, like no KYC.
Should we also talk
Interesting.
about this explore tab on the right here with the Unichain mainnet launch?
Just run it.
Well, can I just say one more funny thing about that? Go back to our friends at MegaETH.
I know
So
what you're gonna say, David. Let's hear it.
I don't know how many people realize this or know about this who listen to this pod, but they have called this NFT mint the Fluffle. And it's all these really, you know, adorable looking rabbits. And the funny thing about that is there's actually a quite popular 2021 NFT project called Fluff World
Oh, it's quite popular.
that Angel Baby is a part of. He is a fluff. He was a fluff. He was born as a fluff. He is a fluff. He is a
For
fluff.
now.
But now I don't know
Shout
who
out
the
Jay
fluffs
Stolar.
are. So I haven't seen a response from the Fluff World team. But it's
I
there's
haven't
something
seen anything
going
from
on
the
here.
Fluff World team in a minute.
Hey.
No surprise.
The Root Network. They're all about the
Network.
Root Network now.
Is that still
I
going?
got my burrows.
Anyway,
So how
I
does that
just
make
wanted
you
to
feel
point that out.
as a Fluff loyalist, David?
I just think it's a really odd choice by MegaETH to go in on this fluff idea, which is they just like took the branding and project idea from a 2021 NFT project. And not like at one point fluffs were up at like 10, 11 ETH. Like, you know, not like a nobody project.
Yeah. I also thought it was pretty interesting too. I'm not gonna lie. That was immediately
something
my
going
first
on
thought. I
there.
was like, what the fuck?
Anyway, that was I digress.
Speaking
Take
of
us to
stuff
Unichain.
going on, we had the Unichain mainnet launch today by Uniswap. Highly anticipated chain launch. Fellas,
Was it
what
highly
do we think?
anticipated, Lucas?
I'm just trying to add a little flavor here. All right, man, just go with it. Any comments here from the gang on
Well, you're the
Unichain?
one who said it's highly anticipated. You tell us.
Coop's feeling a little spicy today, huh?
Coop is
Yeah,
feeling spicy.
Coop's got some sass today.
Coop's got some sass today. Well, I for one am excited to see you.
That's what I'm talking about. I just need someone to stand on business.
All right.
I need someone to defend the position.
All right,
You
another
know,
chain.
my take here is that in crypto, we go, oh, it's a new thing. Oh, this is really exciting. Oh, why is it exciting, Chevy? Let's hear why.
I think there's an opportunity for new grants. That's how I see it.
Oh,
That's how I see it.
Grandmaster, I like it.
That's how I
like
see
Daddy.
it.
it.
Grandmaster.
Grandmaster.
with
He's got a
every-
call with Unichain tomorrow.
With every new network, I see dollar signs. That's what I see.
Clip
Okay.
that for sure.
That's
That's the
what it
intro,
comes down to.
100%.
I don't know. I like the pink. I like
He
the
likes the
chain.
pink.
I like the uni. You
All right,
know,
let's see if Uni's up or down, because I actually did buy a good amount of Uniswap in anticipation of this. And here rests my point. Unichain
down.
launched today, and Uniswap is down 1.7%.
But
I am
that's a
now
broader market thing.
underwater on my initial purchase. And you just gotta ask yourself, what are we doing here?
I mean,
What are we
I
doing?
wanted to let I thought maybe somebody would say something really, really intelligent and thought provoking around Unichain. But I'm gonna say this: I've got chain fatigue.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
Like,
real.
Barachain, like, has anybody used Barachain? I know a lot of people are using Barachain. I saw the bears on Barachain were worth like 20 ETH at one point.
Yep.
Like, Unichain, like, too many chains.
B3.
B3 is that a new? I guess is that a layer 3 on base?
Yep.
Wow.
Too many chains.
wait.
Too many.
This is
chains.
Ethereum's bear case, though, isn't it?
I
There's just
100%
too
think
many
so.
chains. It's fragmented liquidity. We're all tired of it.
You know
We're
who would
tired
be?
of it.
Wait, you know
There's
who would
too
be a
many
great?
chains.
Who would be a
There's too many
great
chains.
person?
Why does Uniswap need a chain? I don't know.
I mean, it's largely around like capturing MEV fees
Yeah.
for the most
Yeah.
part that you can return to Uniswap holders. I think Dan Olitzer wrote about this like 3 years ago on Unichain.
Shout out Dan.
So interesting to see it come into fruition 3
I love
years
how
later.
Adam said, yeah, as if he's like really well versed in the MEV resistant capture mechanism of Unichain.
Cube, you continue to fade me. I love watching it, and
Cube,
I
you're
love
being
watching it live.
So negative.
I'll tell you
What
what.
are you talking about?
I'll
What's
tell
up?
you what.
Where's
You know-
positive Coop at?
You know,
I'm just giving banter. I'm bringing the banter.
you know
He's
who
sad he's underwater.
Yeah, I'm underwater. I'm
What were you
drowning
saying,
here, guys.
What were you saying, JB?
I was gonna say, you know who would be a great person to bring on for this exact topic? Ready? Nick Tomeno. Nick would be a
Yeah.
great person to bring on for this topic. Why? Why would Nick be a great person for this topic? I'll tell you why. Let me share my
Why
screen.
don't you tell us?
Let me share my screen because Nick in particular
Please share.
believes. Here I am holding the microphone and also trying to share my screen at the same time. Give me a second.
You got this.
Multi-talented.
Here we go.
God, you're
Here
so
we go.
talented. It's crazy.
Here we go. Why do they want me to book a demo? God damn it, Riverside. All right, share my
Oh.
screen. Here we go.
Don't put this on Riverside, bro.
Boom, boom, boom. From the Bello account. No. Here we go.
Yeah, he's a big app chain guy.
There you go. The obvious end state of blockchains is app chains. Every successful app will have its own chain. UX is the only thing stopping it now. Wallet and bridging infra will get there soon enough. Nick,
agree with
why
that.
is that? Why is that? Which is the trend? Which is what Lucas, who said it? Huh?
Can't even follow.
This is from the Bello account. Bello doesn't follow anyone. This is
Oh,
the Bello browser. I have two different browsers. But this is the topic. I think it goes back to what I think it was Lucas who said the MEV argument. Was it Lucas?
It was Lucas.
It was Lucas. It's why Zerion launched its own chain as well. It's why people are launching their own chain. It makes sense, but it is fragmented. And what is the end state? A lot of bridging, a lot of bridging. Too much bridging. Not enough time.
I just wonder if we should just be investing in bridges, like across protocols. Great token. Been ripping.
Well, you're saying
this
that to a Series A investor and Reservoir over here in this corner of the podcast. So
year. Oh,
relay.link.
relay. No,
Hey.
across. We're going with heart here. I don't have bags. No
I got
bag
some across
bias.
tokens too. Not as much as I did have back in the day, but I did pretty well on across, and I like those guys. Shout out Hart Lambert, legend.
OG.
Shout out
DeFi
Uma
OG.
Protocol, Lucas. I know you remember
Yeah.
the original Pump Fund, aka Uniswap, aka Uma token. It's pretty
Yep.
good.
And getting absolutely wrecked, just sandwiched.
No, but we did well on Uma. Me and you
I don't
back in
think
the
we
day.
did. I think I got wrecked on Uma.
Cooper forgot to tell you when to sell.
I did pretty well. That's how it makes one of us over here.
I think I did okay. That was the very beginning of like DeFi mania, like
Mhm.
heading into peak DeFi summer.
Yeah, I just
It's
think
good
to echo the chain fatigue thing, the rotations into these chains don't feel very novel to me anymore. I think that there was a period of time when it felt like you were kind of unlocking a new experience when you were going on a new chain. And I think now it's kind of the same thing. It's basically like bridge over, go to Dex Screener, look at the top meme coins for the day, trade it for the first 48 hours, wait and see what kind of apps launch on top of it. But, I will say that I am very impatient as a crypto user, and I think a lot of other people are too. And I think one of the challenges as a team that's building a chain is that it takes time for your ecosystem to differentiate itself and emerge and become very natural. And I think that a lot of these teams try and front run it by having this big like ecosystem map launch on day one. But I feel like we've yet to really seen, at least in the last like year or two, specifically on the Ethereum side, like an L2 launch that feels like, oh, this is a major unlock. Like this is like a new moment that really is like allowing new people to come on chain in some way, shape, or form. So that's what I look for when it comes to app chain specifically, is like, did this make the crypto onboarding experience so significantly easy that there is a real shot of this getting new people into this world?
Yeah, I think even like another thing that I'm going to be looking at is just like how quickly and how much volume or like liquidity will migrate over to Unichain versus actually staying on base or mainnet or just all the existing Uniswap deployments, and just eyeing the liquidity flows, because I think that will tell a lot. Because I think the main benefit is LPs should probably get higher earnings on Unichain, would be my assumption. I don't know that for sure, but yeah, I'm interested to see how the liquidity flows pan out over the next few weeks here.
This came up on a podcast I was on yesterday, and I think it applies here too. And it's kind of, I've been thinking about this a lot this week, is I think as an industry, we've made the mistake of treating users and investors as one and the same. And it makes sense because at the origins of Bitcoin, especially with something like Bitcoin, and to a certain degree with Ethereum, users and investors were the same thing. But I think we need to start really separating the two. And I'm embarrassed to have never had the thought I'm about to say until yesterday, but I was like, I don't buy stocks for like every single product that I love. And like human behavior is human behavior. And why are people going to buy tokens for every product they love versus like using the product? And I'm real, like there are investors and there are speculators and there are traders who are going to speculate on Uniswap like Cooper did. Let me buy Uni token. They're coming out with this thing. Maybe it's going to have a big moment. Or like Lucas thinking like, I can get some type of dividends from like owning this. But the end users are not always the same as the investors, even when using a chain like Uniswap. Like I use Uniswap all the time. I haven't owned any Uni in a couple years, and I don't feel like the impulse to go buy some just because I'm using Uniswap.
Maybe the end state is earning and not buying. Earn
Yeah,
your
I'm
own
interested
shit.
why if Unichain would implement some sort of like yield farming mechanism similar to what they did when they launched like V3 in the token, is like they had that 3 to 4 month period of liquidity mining, and I think that would be pretty smart in order to attract a lot more liquidity to the chain. Is have those additional incentives to bootstrap it, but I don't think I saw anything explicit on that front.
I do have a lot of respect for the Uniswap team shipping both Uniswap v4 and the Unichain in the same quarter, basically. I mean, obviously, I know it's been a very long time coming, but I do feel like that was a pretty big step forward on the DeFi side of things. And obviously, I'm not the most well versed in what is possible with hooks and everything, but from some of the different, formats that I've seen, I think that the Uniswap v4 hook format actually allows for some pretty interesting market dynamics to emerge. I mean, we saw like Flaunch go live on the launch of Uniswap v4 that basically allowed there to be trading fees automatically rerouted to buybacks and distributed to LPs. There was splits on the way the LP fees were distributed amongst developers and the community and buybacks. And with this this pure market thing that launched this morning, my understanding is that people are really just trying to optimize for liquidity going to the people that it is supposed to go to, which is maybe a very non-sophisticated way of saying that, but I feel like this idea of like, I don't need to be a level 10 DeFi wizard to be able to benefit from all of the cool things with what I can do with liquidity in DeFi is pretty interesting to me. So I do have to give credit where credit is due. I think the Uniswap team has continually been one of the most, forward-thinking teams in crypto for a very long time. And if you think about the most successful products in crypto, it's basically impossible to not put Uniswap at the very top of that list. Now, I do have one other comment, though. Are you seeing other podcasts, David?
Am I seeing other podcasts?
You've heard
Are
them.
you podcasting around?
What the fuck?
What do you mean?
I
What do
mean,
you mean? What does he mean?
yeah, Chevy, you heard this guy say that he was on another podcast on Monday, right?
Spaces. I was on another Spaces. I was on a Spaces podcast.
Good
Whatever.
save.
It's
Good
just all the
save.
same
It was
to
a
this one, isn't
Spaces.
it?
It was a Spaces. It was a space. I'm not cheating on you guys. I wouldn't do that.
Devin, walking a fine line. Put
Fine
some
line.
boundaries here.
Look,
I
if you want to
wouldn't
be in an
cheat on
open podcast, just let us know. All right, we're not asking for
Yeah.
exclusivity here.
Yeah, we can be in an open podcast, but I don't want an open podcast. I like building long-term relationships. I don't want that.
I
Yeah.
like this.
Speaking, guys. Speaking of joining new spaces, Ted joins Merkle.
Nice, Chevy. That
You
was
like
good.
that transition? That was a good.
pretty good.
transition. That was
I
a
would
good.
give that like 6.
That was pretty good.
Six,
That was
six,
thank you,
3
David.
out of 10.
6'3", Coop.
Wow, I would give you a 10 out of 10. You're just so talented and smart.
Thank
and
you.
honestly, the way that you move us along on the agenda, it's really just one of the things I love about this podcast.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Just wait for
It's
the
good
other
having you back
transitions.
in our time zone.
Absolutely. Ted joins Merkle. That's why the Twitter was popping. Last episode, we were like, whoa, the Twitter's gone good. Congrats, Ted.
Congrats,
Shout
Ted.
out Ted.
Congrats,
Shout out Ted.
Shout out Ted. And she loves Farcaster. That's amazing.
That's true.
I have a stupid question.
Go for it.
I should know the answer to this, but I don't. What's Merkle?
The parent company.
That's the underlying company building Farcaster.
I did not know that. I thought it was called Farcaster. All of it. So Merkle's the underlying company building it all. Okay.
Correct.
Those headlines, I said Farcaster raises whatever that insane amount of money was. I don't think it said Merkle raises.
It said Merkle if you read the fine lines.
Cooper's there in the fine print. He's been on a lot of lawyer calls lately.
I started my career in crypto as a journalist. Lucas saw it. He was there.
I was there. I was also a journalist. But shifting gears, speaking of Warpcast, they did release the Warpcast Wallet to 1,000 users. I think the first thing, I think it's really interesting how they're rolling out the product to the top 1,000 users based on the Warpcast rewards. So like every week there's a leaderboard with the top casters or top users of Warpcast based on the level of engagement. And then this week they rewarded the top 1,000 not only with USDC but also early access to their new wallet, their embedded wallet feature. And with it, I will say the new UX is pretty amazing.
What are you collecting there in this video?
What are we collecting? Hold on, we need to refresh this.
We'll refresh.
Just collecting a little podcast, but no shifting screens anymore. You're not getting sent over to Rainbow or Coinbase Wallet to accept the transaction, which is huge. And it is really easy to interact with frames now on Warpcast. So I'm really excited to see this get rolled out to more users and see how traction or activity on the platform on pods and like other frames starts to pick up with it.
My whole thing is like, why is it not just one click collect? Like, why do I have to open the episode, scroll down, hit collect, hit connect, hit collect?
Because
like,
there's more engagement than just the wallet interaction, right? If you go to view episode, you might be wanting to go to listen to it. You might want to be able to collect it. You might just be checking it out. And I think that this exists for most other frames applications, that there's more than just the immediate wallet interaction. Now, I do agree with you, Coop, that I think like Frames V1 felt a lot cleaner in that sense. Like if you paired Frames V1 with this experience, it does feel really solid. That said, I think you just have less optionality and you have more flexibility as a frame developer with the Frames V2.
So does that mean you have to top off your wallet in Warpcast now?
Yeah, you load up a wallet, but you're allowed to use
bridge,
your existing wallet. Yeah, time to bridge, baby.
Guys, it's actually on Unichain, the Warpcast wallet.
I don't know what's worse, the constant screen swaps between a wallet and application, or needing to send funds and have funds outstanding.
I will say,
application.
I just sent like $100 from my public wallet to this, and like I think that'll last you a long time.
I wonder if drop-offs would be similar to like subscriptions. Like I remember Hypersub, when I was speaking to Johnny one time, he's like, oh, I asked him like, what is a top-off rate for people that resubscribe? Because it's not really a traditional subscription. Like you have to keep manually doing these things. and I wonder how that affects engagement within Warpcast. I for one hate, like, I have money sold on, what is this app called, Clout now, right? It's like I want to take the money out, but I never remember to do it, and then the money drops, and like I got money on Clout, and I got money here, and I got money there, and I got money there, and I got money. It's like damn,
problems.
I want one wallet. Give me one wallet.
Give me one wallet.
I agree with that, Chevy. Too many chains, too many wallets. We got to stand
up. Too many
up.
chains, too many wallets.
Someone's got to say something.
Too many chains, too many wallets. I actually took my Clout money out at like 11:30 before I went to bed. I was like, I got to do this. Like, I just have this like money sitting in this app. I got to get it out of there.
I love Clout. It's the greatest app of all time.
All right, cool.
All right. The one thing I wanted to pull on was the Singapore of crypto comment here from Dan Romero. And what he's saying is today, Farcaster is much smaller than most Web2 social networks. But if the percentage of active users with a funded wallet is really high, we have a near-term opportunity to be a small population but high GDP country, kind of like Singapore. You don't need a lot of users, but those users all have a lot of money and are high-value users that are spending a lot of money on the platform. I think that's a really interesting approach.
Yes.
I haven't thought about it like that, but I think it could be pretty viable. Curious. What do we think here?
I like the sentiment. I will say that it's a little bit counter to last week's narrative of going viral on chain and sort of the way that Jesse was communicating Farcaster's social graph being the thing that brings millions and millions and millions of people on chain. So I actually do believe that having this small population is what Farcaster is currently good at. When you look at some of the tokens that have come out of the Farcaster ecosystem, they really just do well within the Farcaster community, and I think that the challenge that they're trying to figure out here, and rightfully so, is basically just like, how do we get normal people into crypto using the Farcaster social graph as the main way of doing so? But I've always found that sort of doubling down on the most active builders and users of Farcaster has been the most high positive EV action you can take. So long way of saying that getting people to fund their wallets is 110% the right way to go here. I love that on mobile, like it's the wallets front and center in the middle of the scroll bar at the bottom. But to Adam's point, the friction is extremely high. And if the action that needs to be taken for people to fund their wallet is send base ETH to this wallet to get started, I think that that's very problematic. And I think there needs to be a much easier way of getting your wallet funded outside of expecting someone to have ETH on base to be able to start playing around in this country in the first place.
I mean, my judgment would be like you could onboard with Apple Pay or a Coinbase on-ramp pretty soon. Would be my understanding is that they're taking a very like simplistic approach of like, okay, let's allow people to send, receive, and interact with frames, and then let's go from there.
I have another comment here, but David, you look like you brought your mic up.
Here's my comment. I'm a little bitter the last couple weeks, but I feel like we've seen this argument in crypto before. I remember making a similar argument. It's similar but different of like, hey, we have a really small user base, but this user base is willing to spend money. Like in the NFT,
true fans.
10,000 true fans. There's a 10,000 person community on this NFT project. So like these are all going to be super fans and they're willing to spend more money than 1 million monthly listeners. So while I appreciate the argument and I have made a similar argument myself, I believe I'm yet to see that argument perfectly play out over a multi-year time frame. And that's why I'm a little skeptical of it. I hope it's different this time. But to Cooper's point, I think at the end of the day, that will only work for so long. And unless it can really scale to being able to go viral on chain, it's at some point the honeymoon period will end.
Because let's unpack that. What does going viral on chain look like in this context? It's basically that a lot of people have a wallet that's funded on Farcaster and they're scrolling the feed and they're double tapping to collect something that's super, super cheap. And you're having, the equivalent of 1 million likes, but it's 1 million mints instead. That's how I see it, at least.
Yep.
Right. But it's got to get to that million number.
Correct.
Yes.
I personally don't see this as a way to go viral on chain. I actually see this as a way to bootstrap like an initial user base. And more so of like, my goal is to see if we can increase the mint activity, organic mint activity on every episode on pods that gets posted on Farcaster by 20 mints, right? And if you can do that every episode, every day, 365 days a year, like that starts to add up over time. And I think that's really the angle that I'm going for here is like, how do we increase the base floor with us doing nothing and creators just posting these links on socials? And how can we increase that conversion rate of people actually monetizing those episodes? I'm not seeing this as like, oh, we're going to drop a frame and the wallet is now going to get us 100,000 mints in 24 hours. Like, I just don't think that that's realistic. But could it get us 200 mints on a really good episode, all organic from people that saw it? Yeah. And I think like that would be pretty beneficial for creators if that's happening across the 100+ that we're hosting on pods right now.
I agree with that. I think that what's missing to me is like that X factor on the crypto magic that makes going viral feel different from going viral elsewhere. And what I mean by that is I think the magic that I've felt from going viral on chain has been an on-chain daily feature, right? Like something where you're getting a feature in a publication and there's mints constantly rolling in. You look at Rodeo and you have the curator rewards. You know that if you collect something, you can make some money on the back of it. And I think right now we're basically just making it easier for you to press the mint button. But I think we're still missing that feedback loop that allows there to be net new network effects. And I think that's what I'm actually more excited about seeing pan out.
Yeah, but I don't think that's on Warpcast. I think that's like on us on the platform level, or on you on the platform level of like, how are you baking in those mechanisms that kind of drive virality? If as long as you have the distribution, that initial distribution set.
Yeah, maybe, but not on Warpcast specifically. That is on them at the end of the day. I think in general, I agree with your principle that like it's on us as the app builders to figure out what that loop looks like from like our platform, or if you go to my website. But I actually think that Warpcast itself, and specifically the Coinbase partnership, if they are really indexing on going viral on chain, give me blueprints to be able to do that. Shout out Adam here, but like give me a playbook to execute on and allow me to try something that you recommend, or just put me into a format that you recommend. You know, I think right now there's so much expectation on us as builders to go and build a frame and to go and submit to the content registry and to run these layer 3 quests and do all these different things. And if at the end of the day, the merit is that you should be able to go viral on chain from being active on a crypto social network, let's see that happen. You know, I feel like I haven't really seen that happen in a way that there's like a really good case study. And I think that's what's really missing here is a creator making 50 or 100 grand on the back of building or just posting something on Warpcast in the absence of them having to be an app developer. You know what I mean? Because I don't see going viral on chain applying to app builders, which is I think is the current orientation, as much as it should apply to like creators. Like if you post a really amazing podcast, you post a really amazing TikTok or something, you should be able to go viral without ever knowing how to build a frame in the first place.
Right. I think that's on the creators to go viral, but it's on the platform to enable you to go viral, I think, in that capacity. So having the frame there, having the mechanisms where people can earn money by supporting that creator, all that stuff, I think comes into play.
So if you post to your example, if you post a podcast episode and you want that to go viral natively in the social feed, what does that actually look like? It getting a lot of likes, a lot of plays, but then converts to a lot of transactions? Like what? Okay. But that kind of already happens, not at the scale that we want, but that behavior already happens on the feed. On Warpcast.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Adam, is I actually agree with you that there feels like a lack of tools to be able to effectively go viral on chain. Because in my mind, where I was going is like, I'm a TikTok creator. I'm on the early days of TikTok. I know that I can use certain hashtags to game the network. I know that I can collaborate with certain creators to get higher share on it. I can get, you know, TikTok itself can actually promote me as a creator. And I feel like right now it's just kind of like you come to an on-chain social feed, whether it be Warpcast, Lens, any of these on-chain social products, and you're kind of just like, you know, good luck. You know, like I don't feel like there's really an algorithm to be gained that will result in you getting millions of followers or getting millions of dollars. And I think those are the two things that, in my mind, the outcome of going viral kind of achieves.
I think you're wishing for the wrong. I mean, I think you're wishing for the right thing, but you're wishing upon the guru era of Web3 social, of all these creators, content creators putting together playbooks and trying to dissect the algorithm to see what works and what doesn't work, and if the thumbnail works, or if like a 30-second versus a 28-second video works, or if the color shading and gradient is this or that, and like this entire Mr. Beast-esque playbook that a lot of these content creators have figured out with traditional platforms applied to social, like on-chain social. Is It seems
That's
like
correct.
yeah,
That's correct.
yeah.
And I think that framing and that orientation of like optimizing for true virality and impressions and engagement is a very different mindset than optimizing for what we still are optimizing for in crypto in 2025, which is like make the mint button easy to press, which doesn't solve why would I push the mint button in the first place.
Right.
I think the first thing is the thing that solves why would I mint. The second one is just like conversion, which I think is, it doesn't matter if there's no one to convert in the first place. It's kind of the way that I think about it.
I
Dev,
think
go
the-
ahead. Oh,
Go ahead, David.
David, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I do think if you go back and you look at TikTok or you look at Facebook way back in the day, they did give creators advice on what to do to be successful on the platform, and I don't believe Warpcast or any of the other platforms, social platforms, have any like guide or playbook that says like, hey, this is more or less how our platform works. These are things you can do to try to be as successful as possible on our platform. Hashtags is the easiest example. Like TikTok was very forward about like use these hashtags, use the for you and the FYP hashtag. Like they made sure that people knew that and that was a helpful way to go to increase their chances of going viral. And that was coming from TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually it was coming from creators that it worked for, but I think yeah.
I was going to say one thing I really loved about cohort 2 of Blueprint is that we had Jacob from Zora come in, and we actually asked Jacob like, how do you go viral on Zora? And he actually dissected the platform for the creators and told them, if you do this, this, and that, that's how we know it's good engagement or the engagement that we want to see, and then we will boost you. So keep doing this, this, and that, because those are the positive signals that feed into the platform that drives the results that we want to see. So give credit where credit is due. You guys don't know that it was a closed event, but Jacob from Zora definitely thinks in that direction. Also, I'll give some credit to the Lens team. The Lens team has always been focused on creators versus the Warpcast and Farcaster team has always been focused or historically been focused on builders. And Lens has always put their best foot forward when trying to help creators go viral on Orb or on Hey. And whether or not they did it right or did it good is to each and everybody's opinion. But they definitely had that support system and put a lot of money and a lot of time in trying to onboard the right creators to get them distribution on their networks.
If you were to talk to the Farcaster team today, what would you tell them? How to better optimize for creators?
They would, Dan, actually, another cohort 1 session, Dan came in and basically, and that was a session that Naomi was in, and basically told the cohort, like, how do you build an audience on Warpcast and find a niche to double down on, find the channel that is underserved in that niche and just post in that channel every single day, engage with people in that channel, and that's how you build your audience. And Naomi did that with the fitness channel, and now she's like arguably one of the most popular creators in crypto, or let alone on Warpcast. And she has like the fitness content on that platform and gets paid through Warpcast by doing that, has closed a bunch of brand deals through that. So I'll give credit where credit is due to Dan Romero as well for cohort 1 and cohort 2 doing that and sharing those insights on how the platform works. Yeah.
How do we get these instances shared more publicly?
Apply to Blueprint, baby. Apply to Blueprint cohort 3.
Well, Blueprint's great. I would say Blueprint is the early version of what you were saying, Chevy, of like creators going out and being like, this worked, this worked, this worked, this is what I learned. And when I think that coming from the founders of these companies or a representative from that company, it's like head of creator partnerships or whatever, would go a long way, because it should be more public knowledge, and I think it would drive more users. And to go back to a theme from recent weeks, I wonder if this is another area where like Ethereum's very decentralized, like we're not going to tell people what to do culture is negatively impacting app development, because it's very much like the founders being like, I don't want to be seen picking favorites. I don't want to be seen as telling people what to do on this application. It's a free playground. I'm going to let people build however they want. But the reality is, to make it a successful application and to attract creators, the founder or someone from the company does need to be a little more forward and have the conversations that Jacob was having with you guys.
Right.
Or taking it a step further, which is what we do at Coop Records, is like, trust us. You know what I mean? Like, let us actually be able to leverage your brand in this space, because it is very overwhelming and it is very confusing. And I think, to me, the biggest metric for success on a new social platform is the caliber of creators that are joining it. And I think if you look at over the last 6 to 12 months on Warpcast, there was a local maximum reached with sort of the crypto crowd, but I haven't really seen like celebrities coming on to Warpcast, or even like people of influence coming on to Warpcast and whatnot. And so I think for me, I really try and optimize for that, because we do see people of influence coming into crypto Twitter and into Pump Fund and into Phantom and whatnot. And I think that it's a very different orientation, but whether you like the gambling or not, you cannot deny that they have had an influx of new influence come into the ecosystem. And I think a lot of that comes from there being a playbook, right, of either launch a coin or trade a coin or live stream the coin or do these things that feel very entertainment oriented. And I think that's something that's just severely lacking on the ETH side these days, is just like the entertainment value of doing things on chain. And I think that's something that really needs to be optimized for in the year here to come.
A great point.
Amen.
Amen. That's a really good point.
It was a nice little rabbit hole there,
I
boys.
love that, Coop.
Yeah, it's fun.
So,
Lucas, what else we got on that agenda, man? I know we're coming up right on an hour here. I know there's a couple more topics on there, I believe.
Oh yeah, we want to get into our regular sentiment or regular segment here of just ETH Cope and bear posting ETH. I think we had a fantastic week here in the ecosystem. Trump decided to announce tariffs on steel and aluminum, and Ethereum is made of aluminum apparently, because it just nuked right after. And I genuinely thought that this was one of the funniest memes I've ever seen, at least in the past few months.
The only thing funnier is the people getting their ETH back from FTX and saying it's the same price as when FTX got hacked.
Yeah, Bitcoin holders are getting absolutely hosed on FTX claims, and ETH holders are just getting exactly what they started with. So
good. So
if that's not just summing up the current state of Ethereum, I don't know what it is.
Poetry.
So good. So good.
I think one other discussion in terms of like the ETH ecosystem was, we had a quick little chat in our group chat of like this chart of TVL, DeFi TVL stagnating 30% below last cycle all-time high, despite stablecoin supply being at all-time highs, hitting probably north of, it's got to be like what, 200 billion of stablecoins right now, something crazy. What do you guys think of this? Is DeFi cooked?
You're asking the wrong guy. You're asking the wrong guy here today, specifically.
We just need more people. Just more people. Make it easier to come on chain, and we'll all be fine.
I think the DeFi stuff is like interesting, because to me, I actually think that the DeFi ecosystem is as robust as it's ever been. I just think that in general, the cultural resonance of ETH is just really, there's such a big gap there to me. I mean, I don't know if this is a weird segue, but like, I'm not going to ETH Denver this year for the first time since me and Lucas have gotten into crypto. And I think that my reasoning for that was basically just like, I'm not pulled to be a part of that culture that week. Like, I feel like there was a time and energy in 2021 where you're like, I really want to go to these conferences because it feels fun and exciting, and you're going to meet new people that feel really exciting, and there's going to be a lot of like cool memories to be made here. And I just don't really feel that energy right now. And I think that that's reflected by these charts. And I'm obviously I don't know what the word is here, but like, I just read charts based on vibes. You know what I mean? Where it's like the thing goes up if people really like it, and the thing goes down if people don't care about it, or there's nothing that they're excited about happening. And I think that right now, my general sentiment with just like ETH as a whole is that we're just missing that excitement and that X factor. And I frankly don't really know how ETH gets back to that in this cycle.
Is it possible that it is a factor if it was brand new? Like Solana's brand new now. In like 2 or 3 years, Solana might feel like ETH feels right now. And it's just the new shiny object is no longer new and shiny. The market matures, and it's not as like fun when the market matures.
Well, I would say that would be the case if like, it's interesting because ETH at that point in time was the clunkiest it's ever been. It had the highest transaction fees that it's ever had, and there was an extremely high friction to using it, but people overcame that because they wanted to be there. And now if you look at it objectively, we made so much progress in terms of transaction costs, the ability to actually make a transaction, account abstraction, you name it. But even still, that progress that's been made on UX hasn't felt like it's reached that magic moment of crypto feeling invisible, which I think is what we're all going for here at the end of the day. And even with that, the forward progress in usability has not resulted in a forward progress in culture. If anything, that forward progress in culture has come on Solana, which is the exact same experience it was in 2021. And it's just funny that like the whole vision of like scaling and L2, et cetera, is like make it cheaper and easier and faster to use. But I think that what I'm noticing is that you can make something cheaper and faster and easier to use, but if there's not anything fun for people to use that tech for, people aren't going to want to use it, and they're going to go wherever the fun exists elsewhere. And I think that's kind of always going to be the case in crypto to some degree.
Are
you muted,
we
Lucas?
familiar with the Geithner hype cycle?
No.
Pull up the chart, because it almost mimics this chart, I think. Perfectly.
Oh, you're talking about the like the fear denial thing and like.
No, not the fear denial thing. The inflated expectations, disappointment, and then the trough of disillusionment.
You got to pull it up if you want to pull it up. I don't know how to spell whatever you just said. Lucas, can we hear you? Say something?
Yeah. I think I accidentally muted my mic.
I don't know how to use this computer I'm on.
I think
my real computer's broken.
Coop, to go back to your point, I think replace the word fun with profit, and that was the reason why everyone came to Ethereum in 2021, despite the UX being shit. And I think the current state and the current reality of ETH right now is that even on all these L2s on mainnet, there's really not that casino game or that way to make money that everyone is just driving to. The silver lining here for me is that virtually everyone that I know in this industry is like building on ETH, and there's still very much, to me, and it's not saying Solana doesn't have it, but to me there's very much a people factor of there's people coming in, showing up every day, trying to build something new. And I think my gut is that like we will hit that casino game again. Maybe it takes a while, but just judging by the amount of mind share that's happening on Ethereum, and this is not even versus Solana, it's just like it just feels crazy to say that we'll never hit any sort of application ever again that's going to drive virality back to Ethereum.
Mm-hmm. I just wonder if it actually drives virality back to Ethereum or if it drives it back to your app chain. And I think that's the big differentiator that's worth like really calling out.
Like NFTs went up not because like or ETH went up on the back of NFTs, not because like there were fantastic economics or something on ETH. This was like pre-EIP 1559. It was just because ETH was the unit of, the monetary or the money that people use to buy these NFTs, and there was just that massive land grab for ETH.
Yep.
ETH
and that's really all you need. And like most of these app chains still rely on ETH as like the base collateral for the chain. So it's not impossible. I think you just need that application that drives demand for ETH for everyone to use it.
It actually made me think about I don't know if this is a tangential segue or not, and I know we're coming up on time here, but all these Coinbase listings on day one have been pretty interesting as like a way to try and reignite some of the ETH casino culture, for better or worse.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting that we've taken like the new coins. Like I think this past week or the past 2 weeks, we saw same day listings for Venice and B3. And I want to say one other one. But I think it is interesting that they're taking that approach of prioritizing the new coins, which maybe makes sense because there's a lot of volume on like the first 24 or 48 hours of trading for these new coins. The other angle is like, why haven't they listed like a lot of the OG base coins that have done really well? So
Moonshot, I believe, passed Coinbase in the App Store, though.
I saw that.
Really?
And I think that's a really relevant indicator of where the market's at. And to the point of DeFi being stronger than ever, there is a literal DeFi application trending in the App Store, but it's not using ETH.
What is that? Oh, you're saying Moonshot.
Moonshot.
I would not call Moonshot a DeFi app personally.
Yeah, I would just.
Why not?
Because it's
you're
not
technically buying and why?
It's not decentralized.
The All the financial
decentralized finance.
all the financial transactions are decentralized.
Yeah, but it's happening all through the same front end. Fees are accruing to Moonshot, the company. It
I
just
see your
doesn't
point,
feel like
David. I see
DeFi.
your point, though.
I do.
Like the one like crypto finance app that's doing really well in the App Store is
Crypto
a
finance, I'd give it that.
Solana-based product.
Yeah.
Yeah,
DeFi
and
feels-
the reason it can move so quickly with listings is because they're not real listings. It's
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's all on DeFi rails.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree that the underlying like tech maybe is
Well,
DeFi.
I really
It's-
like
it's
that
a fine
framing.
line.
Because it's like they're not trying to optimize for like giving you yield on the hottest meme coin or doing some like crazy APY pull or doing some like hooks, thing or derivatives or anything. They're just like, here's a good token. We made it easier to buy it. Here's the fun. Here's the casino. It's easy to access the casino with this app. And I actually think that that's like a really positive indicator of like where consumer culture and crypto is moving. Is just like we said with Warpcast, it's like making it easier to transact, making it easier to push the button. But you actually want to push the button on Moonshot because there's things to push the button on. And I think that's just like the biggest thing that's lacking on the East side is that there's not a lot of things to want to push the button on that feel like fun and exciting and desirable by people that are new to crypto.
Why push button? That's the answer in
Just keep
2025.
clicking.
Just keep clicking.
Keep
I was
clicking.
going to say
Just
that.
keep
Chevy,
clicking.
just keep clicking.
Why
Just keep
click?
clicking. Just keep clicking. Relevant in the spirit. Last episode we talked about acquisitions. We talked about Simplecast. Was it Simplecast? Right, joining Warpcast. Supercast. Simplecast is a podcasting.
Correct. That's a Pods competitor. Web
There you
2
go.
competitor.
Third Web just announced that they acquired Yup.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yup.
Third Web acquired Yup.
Yes. Third Web acquired Yup. I dropped the link in the agenda.
Yup from like near.
Devin's a third web guy.
Yeah.
I'm a big
Wow.
third web guy.
So am I.
All the Hume contracts currently third web.
All of Blueprint contracts are Third Web as well.
Dude, it's acquisition season.
Should we get a sponsorship from third web?
Third Web. There it
It
is.
happened. Grant Daddy.
Granddaddy.
At
They
your
could be
service.
sponsoring this pod.
Congrats, Nir. That's great. That's really great. Anything else we want to bring up for this segment? Coop Odessa.
Pray for
Yeah.
my computer.
I mean, I was going to talk about how I was excited to bring Odessa on chain, and then I was kind of roasted before the beginning of this episode. By wanting to.
No, you were not. Suck it up. Keep going. Congrats on Odessa. Big time,
Hey,
brother.
big time.
Big time.
Guys.
Consumer
Yeah,
crypto. We're bringing real
let's
artists
go.
on chain.
Let's
Here's
go.
what I'll say.
Congrats.
Here's what I'll say.
Share your
Us
screen.
bringing Odessa on chain was easily the biggest moment of people knowing about what we do or caring in any regards about what we did. The sentiment was extremely positive. I had people reach out to me that have never talked to me about Coop Records before. And I think what it made me realize is that the association with high profile creators is the thing that moves the needle the most for what we're doing. And I think what all of us are doing here. Now, obviously, we haven't figured out exactly what the end state is of being able to put someone like Odessa on chain. But I will say they were down. They were down. You know what I mean? Like when I explained to them the model of what we're doing, the way in which they're engaging with the space, they were really excited about the fact that they could put something in crypto and not have to worry about there being a super volatile price swing with it. They didn't feel like they were going to be gouging their fans if any of them converted. They were aware of the fact that it's largely crypto people that are buying it. But what I'm currently going for is just like the people in crypto who are actual music fans. And I think my favorite part of this whole experience was seeing how many people in crypto that I talked to on a day-to-day basis were aware of this artist and were actually excited to collect it. And I didn't have to explain to them like, this is why you would collect something. This is what you get on the back of it, etc. So it felt like we definitely, it was a small win for on-chain music. It was a small win for on-chain music. You got to take them when you get them. And we're going to see what happens.
For
How
us,
are
we
you guys
energy
thinking-
going.
How are you guys thinking about like the artist engagement during like these drops and campaigns? Is that something that you guys are actively pushing for more, or is it just like we'll handle all of it, like don't worry about it? And because I think that to me is the one thing that can take this stuff, you know, from 0 to 1 to 1 to 10 is like if you actually get the artist genuinely behind it and actively engaging in this stuff. So I'm curious where you guys are at with that and like actually bringing Odessa into the fold.
I 100% agree with your sentiment. I just think that historically we've had the issue of expecting them to be active at the first moment. And I think that's what's led to a lot of the negative sentiment around crypto from creators is that they come into the space and they spend all this time because there's an expectation of it, and then it tapers out, and then people get angry at them. So at least the way that I think about it is it's almost the inverse, where it's like, put some of their music on chain, show them that they can make some ETH off of their existing content, show them that there's money to be earned here, show them that there's positive sentiment to be captured. And if over time you can sort of upscale them into becoming more active in this world, that's the North Star here. But frankly, where are they going to go? You know, what is Odessa going to do in crypto? Are they going to join a Twitter space and talk about how they love base and how they love ETH? Like, no, they're not going to do that.
Post on Warpcast, baby. And that nice
just
Coops Rex Dreams V2.
Yeah, I mean, we got some artists on Warpcast, but I think for me, it's just like, one of my biggest selling points to these artists is you don't have to talk about crypto. I actually think that's a huge reason why Odessa is even on Coop Records in the first place, is specifically because they do not have to talk about it. If there was an expectation of them having to talk about it, they would say, no, this isn't worth our time. It's not worth the brand risk. We don't want to do it. And so on mine, at least, it's like, until there's a proven spot in the crypto social world that is worth these creators being active on, or until there's a strong enough reason to get them to want to pull their fans into this world, I'm like, do not take the risk. Just allow us to present this content to a crypto native audience in a way that is, you know, familiar to them. And over enough time, I think people recognize that, hey, there's an energy here that feels good and exciting and forward. And I think at that point in time, then those creators may come on more naturally. But it's not going to be them fucking bull posting ETH. It's not going to be them bull posting, you know, buy my fucking token. At least that's not what I want it to be. I want it to just be like, there's great music here and there's a new way to support it. And if you're a curator, if you're an artist and you spend time on this application or on this platform, you're going to be able to move the needle culturally more than you could elsewhere. And I think that's what it's always been about from the day that this thing started.
Amen, Cooper.
That's my
Big
Odessa.
time, congrats. It's really big. Amazing, guys. Does that conclude
We're
NAC?
at time.
I
I think that's it.
I think that's it.
NAC episode 8.
Good
We're
on
getting
us.
back into a
Is
pretty
this
good
episode
flow
8?
here, boys.
This
Guys,
is,
it was the first time somebody texted me and was like, "Is this something you guys are doing consistently?" So we got to keep the consistency. I
That's
believe
right.
in us.
keep pumping them out.
Except
keep
probably
doing
not
it.
Tuesday next week because it's hard for David, but we're getting closer.
We're getting closer. Hey, I made it.
You did make it. Thank you.
Made it, and he has a mic.
No.
And I got a mic. I don't have a computer, but I got a mic.
All right,
We're
everyone,
doing
if
it,
you're
guys.
still listening to this, thank you for tuning into the newest episode of Not a Cartel. You can collect all of these episodes at pods.media/not-a-cartel and support us directly. Show your fandom. See who the number one fan is. We'll find out. Thank
And
you
that
for
is
joining.
pods.media, not pods.xyz.
Pods.xyz, you bitch.